At least 14 people have been killed in a double bombing attack in the Syrian city of Homs, according to the country's state media. One of the blasts was caught on camera. Here's the dramatic footage of that. My colleague Daniel Hawkins spoke with artist Murad Gazdiev, who's in the Syrian capital.
Early reports mentioned 2 VBIEDs. Those are very big improvised explosive devices. Those could be explosives stuffed into a truck, for example, into a minivan. And there were also reports of a suicide bomber who struck in the aftermath of the 2 main explosions. A double tap, as they're called, you know, to maximize casualties, to kill those who came to help, basically.
This attack comes at a time of a crucial deal between Damascus and the opposition that's being implemented. What more can you tell us about that?
Rebels are being offered safe passage out of the town of Zabadani, which is encircled and besieged by the Syrian military. Rebels, more than 100 of them, are being allowed to leave into Lebanon and then fly to Turkey to join their comrades in northern Syria. In return, they are releasing civilians, pro-government civilians, from 2 villages in rebel-held territory. That deal is taking place today. Earlier on, though, we had similar deal in Homs. A lot of room to speculate whether this is a provocation, whether rebels are getting back at the government for the recent killing of Zaghir Aloush, who was a prominent jihadist leader here in Syria.
The bombings in Homs come as the Syrian military step up their offensive against terrorists across the country. Next is exclusive video from an RT Arabic correspondent on the front lines. It's still unknown who's behind the latest attacks in Homs, but Middle East affairs expert Ali Risk told us he thinks the terrorists are increasingly resorting to this kind of tactic because their forces are on the ropes across Syria.
The momentum, especially ever since the Russian military intervention began, the momentum has been very much shifting in favor of the Syrian army and its allies when we speak militarily. Now, usually when the military momentum shifts in such a way, these armed groups or these terrorist groups usually resort to such acts like these terrorist suicide bombings. Homs is considered to be very symbolic for the armed opposition, considered to be a very important achievement. So the loss of Homs as well, that is a very big blow to the morale of the armed opposition in general. So I think what we could say is that, you know, the armed opposition or the terrorists are doing anything possible to make up for these losses which they have suffered very recently.